It changes everything because it ruins it shakes your foundation. The foundation that's built at home with your parents of safety, that you're always going to be okay. Somebody's going to be able to take care of you. You lose that innocence at an early age when you're surrounded by violence. I think that's one of the things that plagues our kids so much these days, is that some people can't find a way or a better way to deal with their situation than violence, which is, and I'll tell you about this even more later, but I ended up starting a group in college called Men Against Violence because there was so much violence in the neighborhood and on college campus. And I'm not a big gun advocate. I'm not a gun toter. I've had guns pointed at me.
Entramos y tan, tarán, tan, 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 ya con música, tan, tan, y toda la gente, y me hace, y yo, ver el disparo, gol, sal porta.
Muy bien, gracias. Yo soy muy contento aquí.
Energy 99, 80s, 90s y más. Las historias con Fernando Von Rossum.
¡Y no se duerman!
¡Sigan viendo!
Las historias del Fer. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Estamos hoy de manteles largos. Tenemos de invitado a un exjugador de la NFL, Gabriel Okara Northern, que jugó en la NFL, fue a la Universidad de LSU, donde fue una segunda selección del draft colegial de la NFL con los Bills de Buffalo. Luego pasó por los Acereros de Pittsburgh de Bill Cowher. Jugó en México cuando estuvieron en contra de los Potros de Indianápolis y ya nos platicará de esa historia. Y terminó con los Vikingos de Minnesota. Es un gran hombre que también trae un invento, que aquí ya les platicaremos de este balón de fútbol americano, y que anda con nosotros en nuestra primera entrevista en inglés. Habla muy poco español. Gabriel, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenido.
Muy bien, gracias. Y yo soy muy contento aquí.
Ok.
Con mis amigos de México.
Gracias.
Sí.
Por eso tu gorra de M de México.
Sí, yo me encanta el culturo.
La cultura.
La cultura. Y yo hablo un poquito de español y estudiar en mi escuela y colegio. Me gusta mucho.
Yo te voy a hacer preguntas en inglés y en español, y tú contestas if you want in English or Spanish, and I will help with the translation.
Yeah.
Don't go too far so I can translate, okay?
I will speak slow and I won't speak too much.
Correcto. Bueno, le voy a preguntar dónde nace y cuáles son sus inicios y por qué escogió el fútbol americano. Where do you born, when, and how do you, what was your first contact with football?
I was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and when I was 7 years old, we had a new kid move down the street. A guy named Terry Martin moved down the street, and he had a football jersey on. And I wanted to know what I needed to do to get a jersey and be on a team like him. He was a bit older than me and a bit older than my brother, and he was a bigger than us, and we just wanted to be a lot like him. And he gave us our first introduction to organized football. I was 8 years old because my parents didn't want us to play when I was 7 years old, and that's when I got into football. And 42 years later, I'm here in Mexico.
Well, our producer's telling me that we're going to have subtitles, closed caption in Spanish, so you don't need to worry, and I don't need to worry too.
That sounds good.
So at the age of 8 years old, you remember that jersey?
I remember Terry was number 28, and he played for a team called the Marydale Warriors. The team was, they practiced at a school close to us in the neighborhood, and we didn't play the first year that he moved, but the next year we played, and my dad was also a coach.
Okay. So at 8 years old, you liked that jersey, and you decide that that's what you want to do.
Yes. So at 8 years old, I was in third grade. And when I was in fourth grade, I got into a gifted and talented school program. And I had to leave all my friends. And one of the first ways that I made friends at the next school was because I played football well when I was young.
So you got the opportunity to get a privilege because of your physical qualities to play the game.
Well, first it was actually because of my brain. It was because I was smart.
Oh.
That I went to the gifted and talented school.
Oh, okay, I understand.
I had good grades, so when I got to the new school, I really didn't have friends because all my friends went to the neighborhood school.
La Raza.
In El Barrio.
Barrio.
See. So when I went to the new school, you as a new kid, you stand around and try to make friends, but it's a little awkward.
It was like geeks and nerds.
It's actually because it was called the GT program, we were called Goofy and Tacky.
Okay.
So nobody in gifted and talented would play with the regular students, but the regular students always had a football. And one of my friends to this day is a girl who brought a football to school. Her name was Marissa. She was the only girl who played football with the boys. Well, at recess, I didn't have many friends in the gifted and talented program, but I wanted to play football like the regular kids. So one day at recess, they let me play, and immediately I was a football star at recess. So I went from not getting picked or getting picked last to the first pick every day.
Oh, wow. And I assume that the gifted and talented, there were more brains, so they didn't care about sports, right?
No, nobody cared about sports.
They were more care about thinking and creating and inventing and all that.
Back then, computers were first coming out, Apple computers, doing programs on computers, and I couldn't get it.
So you were an unexpected breed of physically talented with physically privileged brain.
Exactly.
So that was a perfect match for you and for your life.
And then once I started playing in third grade, once I started playing ball, I started having dreams about football. And dreams and more dreams just about playing the game. And I would wake myself up during the middle of the night by making a tackle. And that lasted from probably 8 years old to 48 years old.
Really?
I would still have dreams of running down the field and crashing into people, still have dreams of sacking the quarterback, still have dreams of shaking hands with the fans and just having fun with my teammates.
So we can call that premonitory or prophetic dreams?
It's whatever it is, man. It's real. And to any kid who's out there who wants to make it to the pros, it has to start there. It has to start with a dream, because if it doesn't start with a dream, it doesn't go anywhere.
So in your dreams, you were already a defensive player, meaning linebacker or something, because you were sacking quarterbacks.
Well, the dreams really weren't specific on all the time, but I would always see myself hitting the quarterback or scoring a touchdown somehow. And then as I grew up, well, I won't say grew up, but when I was 10 years old, I went from playing defense to playing more on offense. I was one of the faster kids. So I played some running back and I scored a lot of touchdowns. But still, as much as I love scoring touchdowns, I was better at stopping people from scoring touchdowns.
So when you start playing organized football was when you were 10 years old?
8 years old.
8
years old for the Mirrodale Warriors, but I got really, really good when I was 10 years old.
So from 8 to 10 as defensive player, and at 10 they switch you to an offensive player.
Yes.
I want to ask you, when you're kids, it's like all the kids running behind the football, right?
Yeah.
But when you were at 10 and they move you, what was your position at 10 years old?
Running back.
Running back.
Yeah.
All right.
And actually, I knew I was one of the faster kids, and I also knew that I was one of the smarter kids. And that's who you usually want to have the ball in their hands when kids are that young. You want the fastest kid to have the ball, you want the smartest kid to have the ball, and you want the kid who can throw the ball the farthest playing the quarterback. That's how it should be when you start off young. I was willing to play any position, but when I was 10 years old, the guy who played running back the year before had graduated. Uh-huh. And I knew, I was like, okay, this is my chance. I can really help us win if I move to running back.
And we're talking elementary school.
10 years old.
What we call here escuela primaria.
Sí.
In Mexico. Okay. Now, what's your actual height?
Right now, 6'4".
Okay. Es 1.92 de estatura. Cuando hagamos el promo, y usted verá, yo mido 1.82, 83, va a ver la diferencia del tamaño de mi amigo. So you were like a Derrick Henry of this time with the size you have when you were a young kid, compared?
I would say something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And for how long you play running back?
Just for about 2-3 years, because some guys got bigger and better than me.
Bigger
and better than me when I was when I was 11 and 12 years old. And then when I was 13 years old, things kind of changed because of the schools, and guys were graduating and going to different schools. So when I was 13 years old, I played just about every position except quarterback, because we just had guys going in so many different directions.
We're talking middle school.
Middle school.
What we call secundaria.
Sí.
Okay, let's shoot for that, and we'll continue in 1 minute. Cheers. So 13 years old, and there was a guy that become bigger than you.
Yeah.
So he became the running back.
Yeah.
And then they move you to?
I moved to fullback. I moved to offensive line. I played all different kinds of positions, and that was at 13 years old. The next year, at 14 years old, that's when my life really changed. I got out of the gifted and talented program and went to a school that was more directed towards black kids in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's Southern University's high school, Southern Lab. And the environment, the coaches, the teachers, the students, it made everyone want to raise their level of competition up, whether it be in the classroom or whether it be on the field. And that was where I first learned what greatness was.
So that changed your life but you were okay to move from the gift and talent to exclusively be the best version of yourself as an athlete?
That wasn't the case. At the time, I started doing poorly in my studies.
Okay. Really? From being on top?
Yes, because the environment that I was in, I wasn't with my friends.
Right.
The academics, I don't know. It just seemed like I was having problems with teachers. I don't know if it was problems with listening or attention, but once I got out of that environment and got to Southern Lab, it was like moving from a good neighborhood to a better neighborhood where I fit in and had friends already.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times when a kid has to move, he goes to where he has no friends, nobody likes him. It's a total new environment, and you hate it until you kind of find your way. Well, the transition was immediate. It was immediately successful. It changed my life, and once I was able to see what excellence was in the classroom as well as on the field, it motivated me even more to fulfill and follow my dream.
And that was high school now?
That was 9th grade, 14 years old.
And what position did you start when this changed in your life?
I was playing a little bit of anything, but my main focus was defense. Okay. I played just about every position on defense, and what allowed me to flourish was just that I paid attention. I paid attention to what everybody was doing. And so if somebody got hurt or somebody got tired in the game, somebody had equipment malfunction, before coach could say, hey, I need a cornerback, or hey, I need a safety, or hey, I need a linebacker, I'm already watching, and I see somebody going down or went down, I'm already out on the field. So because I was also playing with so much greatness and so much talent, a lot of times I would just end up making a tackle.
And I think you were ahead of your time, because the common thing is that you specialize in one or two things, but you see the overall scenario, preparing yourself to be ready for any position.
Yes.
And who teach you that?
I think I taught myself that because I knew that I wanted to be on the field. I wanted to be in the game. I didn't want to be on the sideline.
Right.
So there would be times where coach would be looking for somebody to sit in the game and nobody would go.
Right.
So instead of waiting, instead of getting a penalty, I'm already out there. So if I make the tackle or if I make the play or do my job right, the coach is not going to pull me out. So next thing you know, I got a whole series under my belt, and I might have one or two tackles. And as a freshman, I end up I led all freshmen in tackles.
Wow.
So so when we had the awards banquet, I got a lot of awards, and a lot of my teammates were pumping me up. A lot of my friends were happy for me, and of course, we had a lot of pretty girls in my class.
So that helped having a lot of female friends.
I mean, when the girl sees you next week at school and she says, I didn't even know you played football, and she knows that you did a good job. I mean, come on now.
And what was that feeling?
Oh, it still feels good to this day, just to think about it. It's always for any man. It's always good to be able to impress a young lady.
Of course. And but that time is when the coaches say, be prepared because they're going to be scouting for colleges.
No,
right?
no, not at all.
Not yet.
My coaches, all they wanted us to do was focus on what we could do at that time.
Oh, okay.
Now, when the time came, they did anything they could to help guys get to college, but our main focus was winning the championship.
And did you?
We did not. We did not win in football, but we won state championships in basketball, state championships in track, state championships in everything. And now the school is still a perennial power in Louisiana, where I grew up. It's just that place bred excellence on and off the field. It taught you how to be a champion. It made you want to be a champion in whatever you did in life.
When did the coaches decide or to say, this is the time, you need to be ready because they're going to start looking for talent?
That happened after my junior year in high school, which I transferred from Southern Lab, which was a private school, to the neighborhood school.
Okay.
And once we got to the neighborhood school, once again, we went from a good environment to I won't say it was a better environment, but it was still a great environment to flourish on and off the field. I was the highest ranked boy in my class. I graduated from school with honors, and I also had several scholarship offers to play football. And that was just a great testament to my coaches that I had, and as well as my teammates.
Tell me, at that time, there was gang problems or friends of you that went into trouble with the law or decide to follow the different path in their lives, or they were still, let's say, clean kids, not thinking about bad things?
Yeah, so what happened in my neighborhood, the neighborhood went through a real transition at the time. They started having some shootings in the neighborhood, even had a shooting on campus.
On campus?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little more?
Oh, man.
What was that experience?
So one of the reasons we went to Southern Lab at first was because they had a shooting on campus at Glen Oaks High School. And then again, there was a shooting on campus my senior year in high school.
what years we're talking about?
So one year, this was probably 1987, and then again in 1992,
Okay.
where they had some gun violence on campus. And that really changed the dynamics of the school, because most people who could afford to take their kids out of our school district and move them to private schools or move them to just another school district, they did. And with that, a lot of money left out of the neighborhood as well.
For people in Mexico like me, we're not very familiar with that terrible experiences that have a shooting in our schools.
Yeah.
I know this is a very sensitive fiber to touch, but would you like to share this life experience? How changed your life? How changed rules, or how impact have when something like that bad happen?
It changes everything, because it ruins it shakes your foundation, the foundation that's built at home with your parents, of safety, that you're always going to be okay, somebody's going to be able to take care of you. You lose that innocence at an early age when you're surrounded by violence. I think that's one of the things that plagues our kids so much these days, is that some people can't find a way or a better way to deal with their situation than violence, which is, and I'll tell you about this even more later, but I ended up starting a group in college called Men Against Violence, because there was so much violence in the neighborhood and on college campus. And I'm not a big gun advocate. I'm not a gun toter. I've had guns pointed at me, and I'm just...
At what age?
Oh...
Starting at what age?
I first had a gun pointed at me probably around 14 years old.
Where were you?
I was on campus at Southern Lab.
At school.
I was on campus, and somebody got beat up. Somebody got in a fight, and one guy lost. He lost the fight, so he went home and came back with a gun. And the guy he was looking for just so happened to be in the gym at the time, where most athletes were in the gym. So when he came in, I was one of the first ones he saw, and unfortunately he didn't pull the trigger. And fortunately also he didn't find whoever he was looking for, and everything was squashed. But that was my first experience. I've also, as a man being my size in America, looking the way I look, I've had law enforcement pull guns on me. I get pulled over, I get stopped. It's just...
So that hasn't changed, and at that time was worse that Caucasian cops have a prejudice about African American people.
It can be a problem. It has been a problem. It has been an issue for me. Because I know the type of guy that I am. Mm-hmm. I've always been one of the smarter guys. I've always been.
So you're 2 steps ahead.
I've always been well mannered. My parents taught me manners. My parents taught me honor. My parents taught me integrity. And when somebody points that gun at you, whether it be a guy on the streets or whether it be a person of law enforcement, it does something different to you. It changes your DNA.
Yeah. Let's continue with this. And I want to take that sip because you're still with us. Let's go back to that point when you're at the gym and this guy comes with a gun. If you can recreate that, but I want to ask you if you're a man of faith.
Definitely.
Are you?
Definitely, and it's on a whole different level now due to some of my recent experiences. This is also one of the reasons why I created this ball. One of the reasons why I call it the Crossball Plus, because this is the perfect blend of my life. It's a blend of my relationship with football, but also my relationship with Jesus Christ and what that has meant to me throughout my journey. When you talk about those situations where somebody points a gun at you or where
You was telling me off camera, he was pointed like this.
it's like when he came in, he swung around and he pointed at me, and he saw who I was, and then he took it away from me because I wasn't who he was looking for.
What were you thinking at that specific?
I really wasn't thinking. I just remember I just froze up. Right. I just froze up and kind of.
You knew the guy?
I didn't know him. He was from another school, and the school Southern Lab that I went to it's a highly prestigious school in Baton Rouge, and a lot of times people would come up there because it was just a good place to be, and a lot of times. It's crazy to say, but a lot of times a guy from Southern Lab would go to another school and steal somebody's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we just kind of had that kind of swagger like that.
Now, at that moment, you froze, but you didn't think, Jesus, please help me?
Well, I can say this, man. At that time, and even mostly throughout my football career as a player as well as a coach, I did not properly acknowledge my faith. Okay. Kind of like when you see a player make a huge play and they beat their chest and it's like, hey, look at me, hey, look at me. I was like that. I just wanted everybody to look at me.
Ego.
It wasn't really about the glorification of God or the gifts that I've been blessed with. It was just, hey, look at me and look what I just did. So at that time, way back then, I didn't have any idea of what to do or what to think. Then as I got older in situations, I didn't have a problem like that when I was in college, but once I got into playing pro ball and a little bit after that, I had a few policemen pull guns on me. And
do you want to give us an example?
Well, one time I was speeding leaving the mall in Buffalo.
So they have a reason to stop you.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was speeding. I was leaving the mall in Buffalo. My girlfriend at the time was in town, and I had to hurry up and pick her up.
You were playing for the Bills?
I was playing for the Bills at the time. Oh. And so this guy, he pulls me over, and after he pulls me over, I see him, he unclicks his gun, and he's got his gun pulled. And I said, man, what are you about to do? I said, are you about to shoot me? And he started barking out all these orders, and I just froze. But also what I did was, because of my training in Men Against Violence, I shut up. Okay. I just stopped talking, and I let him say everything. I let him be in control. I wasn't trying to argue with him, wasn't trying to be belligerent. Hey, man, you run things. You clearly run things now. All I could do is submit. Mm-hmm. And I just had to, humble myself and just.
You were arrested?
Nah.
How?
Well, at the time I was close to the stadium.
Okay.
And the guy he realized that I was a Buffalo Bill, and it was just one of those situations where he said that I fit the description, and I'm like, man.
Meaning fit the description as a criminal?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I get the same thing. Like now when I walk through the airport, like they pull me over, they pat me down.
Every time you went to security?
Not every time, but
most.
I think they pull me over because they have a quota to meet.
Okay.
I think they pull me over because they know, like, there's no 6'4", 250-pound black terrorist.
But you fit the profile for them.
So I'm saying I think they have a number to reach on every day or every certain amount of minutes. Yeah. So they say, well, let's check him because we know he won't have anything.
Oh, okay.
Or they would like to feel on me because they want to touch on my
shut up.
It might. You never know. You never know nowadays. Well, somebody see, hey, man, look at that guy. That's a nice-looking guy. When he come through the line, I'm going to feel on him.
Maybe they want to touch your butt.
I think sometimes they do. And they say, look, we're going to do it with the back of our hands. I'm like, hey, that still feel good.
You can keep doing it.
Go ahead. You're almost done.
All right. Little massage.
A little bit.
Let's go back to Men Against Rage.
Men Against Violence.
Balance, yes.
So that was a group that was started because once again I was doing very well on the football field, and I was also involved in student council and student government on campus.
You were 14, 13?
No, this was when I was in college.
Oh.
This was at LSU.
Okay.
There was a lot of things going on campus, a lot of fraternities getting into fights, a lot of at this time the term back then was date rape was happening a lot.
They put a drug in their drinks?
Yeah. Either the drug in a drink or, hey, we just going to go back to my place and hang out, and guys would take it farther than the girl want to take it. A lot of that was happening on college campuses. So I was trained by some professionals with some other members of the group, and we started Men Against Violence. So we would go around campus, and if somebody had a problem with violence or a group may have had a problem with violence, we would go and do some communications and some interventions and show them how to do some conflict resolutions. And I think that's what happened. That's what helped me in my situations when I got pulled over by cops, or when I go through security and they want to feel on me and do a little bit extra. I just, first thing you got to do is you got to be quiet and think. Mm-hmm. Assess the situation and realize where you are. Realize what power you have and what power you may not have, and then act accordingly.
So that was a big part of your growth as a man.
Oh, yeah. Huge. There's no doubt in my mind I would be dead or in jail if it weren't for my Men Against Violence training.
Did that program still exist?
It still exists in certain capacities. I'm not sure. I haven't really kept up with it too much because it had transformed. There are Men Against Violence groups on college campuses now, mm-hmm. and in certain cities they have Men Against Violence groups.
Now, when you were in high school, how many offers to go to college do you receive for your career?
I had plenty. I had plenty of offers to go to college. I went to visits to Ohio State, Virginia, Miami, and then to LSU.
Did you pick LSU because that was your hometown, or what?
Actually, LSU was picked for me. I was headed to Miami because Miami had won some championships, and I liked their style. And I really wanted to get out of Louisiana at the time. My parents made me stay home and go to LSU. And when I went there on my visit, and I met some guys on the visit, and then that kind of sealed it. I would say that helped it because I still wanted to go to Miami.
Who was playing at Miami at that time?
So at the time, Gino Torretta was the quarterback, and he won the Heisman.
Yeah.
Carlos Huerta was a kicker.
Oh, yeah.
And they also had a bunch of Louisiana guys on the team because back then LSU really wasn't a good team. Mm-hmm. LSU was known for not taking care of their local players. They were known for not taking care of black players, especially quarterbacks. And, me being from Baton Rouge, I could see this. I could see it.
Firsthand.
I could see it.
Yeah.
And I just knew that I didn't want to be a part of that. And back when I got to school, Colorado was winning championships with Louisiana guys, Nebraska, Florida State, Miami. A lot of teams were doing well with Louisiana guys, and this was a byproduct of guys in Louisiana knowing that LSU didn't take care of their players.
That was a very important decision in your life. Why you decide to obey what your parents want for you?
I didn't have a choice.
Oh, at that age?
At that age, I didn't have a choice.
So you decide to be obedient?
Hey, if that's what my mom and dad say I got to do, that's what I got to do.
Man, that means a lot.
And it's the same way with coaches. Whatever coach says goes, and you got to listen.
Now, when you arrived at LSU, do you remember some names that went to the NFL?
When I first got to LSU, Corey Raymond and Mark Boutte and Todd Kinchin were just going to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And then my freshman year, I don't think nobody got drafted because the talent pool at LSU was said to have dwindled. But we still had some good guys. A lot of our lack of success, in my opinion, was due to poor coaching. And the coaches they had some new coaches. My coach was a new coach that came in, and he didn't treat the guys who were there all that well. So he wasn't going to win with those guys. And then once my class got grown and got older, the coach immediately got fired. So then the next guy came in, and the guys who were already there, me and the guys from my class and the class above me, he treated us really, really bad. I mean, he was the worst.
Wow.
And so it really made it even tougher to be successful at LSU. So it kind of made it even sweeter that I made it to the NFL under those circumstances.
Well, having all that against you and your teammates, being drafted in the second round, you were the highest picked in that generation?
Actually, we had another guy. We had a guy, Eddie Kennison, got drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
And we had another guy, Torrey James, got drafted in the second round that year before me. And they were both great players, had long, extended careers, and they really did they did a lot for the LSU program back then. And that springboard, like after that, then more guys started getting drafted. And then that's when Nick Saban ended up going to LSU and turning it around even more.
But you were still there, or you were?
No, I was in Buffalo by then.
It was good. You missed a good experience with Coach Saban too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just seemed like he was more about winning. The guys who were there before were more about discipline and power, and it was not
Control.
a good mix. Yeah, it was discipline and power and control. And, you throw that in, you mix that in with a lot of young black guys in Louisiana who's tired of racism, tired of oppression, and those type of antics, and we had to deal with that.
Gabriel, about when you were drafted from that class from LSU, there were another teammates coming to the NFL by the draft?
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Eddie Kennison and...
But they were in the same year?
Same year as me.
Oh, okay.
So what we did was, when my class came into college, we were the number one recruiting class in the nation. So once we got older and we became men, stronger, faster, bigger, then LSU was able to start winning.
Did you finish your 4 years, or did you? Okay.
Yeah, graduated in 4 years, graduated with honors.
And I asked that because knowing now a little bit more about you and your family, your parents didn't want you to go 1 year before graduation, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I had one class left. And I was like, man, I'm not going back to school. I had one class left, but my last semester, my draft semester, I had 2 A's, 2 B's, and an F.
An F.
And
in,
F.
In what?
And
man?
it was a media law class.
Uh-oh.
So of course, being a media guy, I have to pass this class.
So
I had to go back to summer school.
Okay.
I had to go back to summer school.
Would you tell us what did you study at college?
Communications.
Oh.
Journalism.
So you feel comfortable here?
I feel comfortable here.
Have you been any other type of podcasts or shows? Or?
I've done television. I've done some radio, and for a while I had to kind of take a step back because I was losing it. I was losing it mentally, and so sometimes I'd forget what I was saying in the middle of a sentence.
Uh-oh.
Or just forget what I was talking about, or if something happened over here and I looked, by the time I look back here.
And do you think that had something to do with concussions?
Probably a little bit, probably a lot.
Okay.
I the way I look at it now, some of it's age, but knowing what I know now, a lot of what they call concussions nowadays, it was just it's just a dinger or a stinger or a headache or, got the cobwebs knocked loose or whatever. And it was always just get back in the game. Run down on kickoff coverage, crash into 3-4 dudes. Hey, now it's first down. You still got to stay in the game.
You were expecting to be drafted in the second round, or you have hopes to be drafted in the first one?
Yeah, I had hopes to be drafted in the first round. I worked out specifically to be a first round draft pick, and I think the new coach came in my senior year, and he did everything he could to make sure that I wasn't a first round pick.
When you have that talent, how do you specifically prepare to be a first round candidate?
You listen to whatever your coach says.
Okay.
You listen to whatever your coach says, and you even listen more to what your strength coach says, because it's a lot about strength and speed.
We'll continue with that in a minute. Okay, when you were drafted by the Buffalo Bills, do you have a team in mind that you want to go? Everybody have a team in mind.
Man, it's kind of a situation like how college was for me, because I had an opportunity to go to the champions.
Where at that time?
Miami Hurricanes were the champions.
Oh, we're talking college, okay.
All right. So I didn't go there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got drafted, the Cowboys had just won the championship
with Troy Aikman,
yeah,
Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin,
and I got word that they were going to draft me in the first round.
Okay,
that's what
your agent,
yeah,
or
that's what my agent told me.
Okay,
and that didn't happen.
You were gonna. It was a good surprise for you that happened?
Well, not really, because the Cowboys were the closest team to Baton Rouge, besides the Saints.
And there were no Texans. There were just
there were
coming
no Texans
back.
yet.
Yeah.
There was no Texans yet, and I don't know. I don't remember the situation with the Oilers and them moving to Tennessee. I think that might have happened.
Yeah, I think by that time they already moved.
But I didn't really. Most of my family, a lot of my cousins and uncles were Cowboys fans.
So it was going to be a perfect fit for the family, but not for you?
No, it would have been. I thought it would have been perfect for me too.
Okay.
But it just didn't happen. They ended up drafting another defensive end. And then I end up getting drafted to Buffalo. I really didn't want to go to Buffalo.
Really?
Well, Buffalo had just come off of losing all those Super Bowls, and anytime I saw them on TV, it was just it's just so much snow.
But I know when you get there in 1996, correct?
Yep.
That was the last year of Jim Kelly, the quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you learn from that guy?
Man, I learned more from him recently than when I played with him. I only got to play with him for 1 year. And man, just to see that dude battle and his fight with cancer and winning and losing and winning and losing, but the man, he just keep on fighting. And I know that, there have been times where I've faced challenges in my life and I just wanted to give up and just wish God just take me out. Just let me just go. And for some reason, man, that dude, he just keep on fighting. And then, and I really didn't get to see that part of his career where he was at his best and he was at his full strength. I got to see him in his last year, his just about to retire year. And I didn't get to learn why that area, that whole Western New York area and all those teammates and all those guys, I didn't get to learn why they loved him so much until recently. Until I went to one of his Jim Kelly camps and just saw all that love and just his impact on his area. And man, I think that's what most of us want to do as football players. I don't care what level you make it to. I think all of us want to make that impact to where we were so good And we were so well respected by our teammates and by our peers and by the people that we represent, our neighborhood, that they want you to come back.
They have a very good defense. Did you play with Bruce Smith, 78?
Oh, man, the greatest. I played with Bruce. I played with Bryce Pop, Ted Washington, Phil Hansen. Man, I got there to, like, for me to not want to go there. That was the first last place that I wanted to go. The other place that I didn't want to go to was Green Bay, because that was the only, because that was the next cold place.
Coldest.
But at least they won championships, though.
Oh, yeah.
So
very good stories.
So Green Bay is, it's not, it's all right. They still win championships, not Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
But man, once you get there, and you get around those people and that team, I mean, you can't help but fall in love.
Who take you under his wing as a rookie?
This guy named David White.
David White.
Yeah, David White. He was from Louisiana. Mm. And it goes back to the story I was telling you. He was one of the Louisiana boys that left Louisiana because LSU either didn't recruit him or he didn't like LSU. He went to Nebraska, made it to the NFL, and I was stuck in the hotel. And he just came up to me. He was like, "Hey man, hey homeboy, you want to get up out this hotel? Come on, man, come ride with me."
That was Mark Levy, the head coach?
Yeah.
Who was your defensive coordinator?
The great Wade Phillips.
Oh, the son of Bum Phillips from the Houston Oilers.
Yeah, man. Wow. Oh, I'm telling you. So, I went from playing ball at LSU to a coach for a coach that ran a program like some kind of not did, to go to play for Marv Levy, and then to play for Wade Phillips, and then to be under Bill Cowher for a couple of months, and then to play, then to be with Denny Green.
Oh, wow.
And then to be with Doug Williams coaching at Grambling. I mean, Doug
Williams, the first African-American quarterback that won a Super Bowl for the Washington Redskins.
Doug Williams, man. He's one of the reasons I wanted to be a great football player as well, because he always had camps in Baton Rouge. And everybody in Baton Rouge knows Doug Williams just as Doug. He's just Doug. And when you say Doug in Baton Rouge, everybody know you're talking about Doug Williams, even though he went to school.
He's the man.
Even though he went to school at Grambling, everybody knows Doug. And we used to even call him Uncle Doug when he was playing for Tampa Bay.
Wow.
And after he got done playing ball, he just always showed us love. And he so much so that my brother, who's sitting out there, he hired my brother as one of his coaches when he first got the head coaching job at Morehouse. Then he hired my brother again when he got to Grambling. And then he hired me because of my brother's recommendation after I got cut by the Minnesota Vikings. So, man, it's just crazy how things circle back. It's just crazy that I'm in such a wonderful situation as a footballer and as a man because of what this game has meant to me and what this game has brought to me and what this ball and what it represents and all the places that I've been able to travel and all the things I've been able to see, all the people I've been able to touch.
We're going to that. Just keep that idea. One of the teams with the most fan base in Mexico are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you went to the Steelers after the Bills, but you were hurt. What type of hurt do you have?
Man, it was crazy because what
type of injury? Sorry, I correct my
I blew both of my hamstrings at the same time.
Oh.
I was just getting ready for camp. I was running my last set of drills with some of my buddies, and we were just having a little race to finish our sessions for the summer before we go off to camp.
So it was a crazy race.
Yeah, just a crazy race.
Oh,
and
man.
you know, knowing what I know now, you're not supposed to, like, once you shut the motor off, you're not supposed to get it back up to full speed like that. And I did. I blew both of my hamstrings at the same time, and I blew my chance to be a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the late '90s, early 2000s era, when they had a whole bunch of great defenses and great linebackers with Levon Kirkland, Jason Gilden, Earl Holmes, Chad Brown.
Wow.
All those dudes, after Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green, and after, you know, it's like, man, I blew my chance to be on a member of the Steel Curtain because I wasn't prepared.
That's one of the things you regret in your life?
Oh, no doubt about it, because I had the chance. The same way I had the chance to go to Miami, the same way I had a chance to be drafted by Dallas. I got a chance to be a part of one of the greatest franchises in worldwide sports history, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and play for a coach like Bill Cowher. And I blew it because I gave up. I didn't have the values that I have now. I didn't have the belief in myself. I didn't have the belief in God. I thought God had left me. But it was me who had left.
You went to Mexico City to that preseason game.
Yeah.
What was that experience?
Oh, it was rough. It was rough for me because, like I said, that was my first game back after getting my hamstrings healed up. The training staff did what they could do for me. The strength and conditioning did what they could do for me. And I was able to get back on the field. And being in that altitude.
Oh, it's like Denver, a mile high, yeah.
Being in that altitude and going against the Colts offense at the time, I'd never experienced that type of feeling in my athletic career where I was that tired. Though it was beyond tired, I was beyond exhaustion on the field and during plays, and I'd never been that out of shape or that not being in game ready. Being that was my first experience coming off of, just coming out of the training room.
So your first game back, Mexico City, the altitude, it was the toughest game of your life.
No doubt about it.
You were pulling oxygen, I assume, most of the time.
Yeah, it was a recipe for disaster for me personally, and it was a moment. I mean, to come off injury and to have my first experience to be down here, and I hadn't really practiced all that much. So it was
because of your injuries.
Because of the injuries, and it made it a little bit tougher to learn the defense as well.
And was Tom Capers or Dick LeBeau?
No, it was Tim Lewis.
Tim Lewis, okay. Then he went to Cincinnati.
That defense was hard to learn after playing in Wade Phillips' defense.
Okay.
Because
what was the difference?
So both of the defenses ran. Both teams ran 3-4 defense. Both teams were known for getting after the quarterback and causing confusion in the backfield. But man, the terminologies of the Steelers' defense was just way, way different and more complex. With Wade's defense, you just made the call and then you just go. You cut out all the thinking, stop thinking and just go. That's why guys love playing for Wade. He's if we was all made to be thinking, we'd all be doctors instead of crashing heads.
Right. So, but the terminology with the Steelers?
Yeah, so the terminology was different, and if somebody went in motion, it could change the whole defense. So now that's like 5 times I've had to think before the ball even moves.
Instead of react or act, attack, it was a lot of thinking that confused.
Exactly. And it's easy to get confused. And when you do that, you just you cut out on a player's ability to just be himself if he has to think, because it's you already if when you playing defense in those trenches in the NFL, you're going up against humans that are on average 6'4", 315 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
When you're hopefully 6'4", and somewhere between, as a linebacker, 225, maybe 260 back then. And you gotta then not only that, now you gotta bang heads. You gotta be fast enough and strong enough to bang heads with Sam Gash and those big guys. I think Pittsburgh had a big fullback named Foster back then.
Barry Foster, yeah.
Big Mike Allstott. You had to like go up against those dudes. That's who I went up
Tampa
against.
Bay, yeah.
Bang, like just head banging with big fullbacks, big old, so.
Now, do you realize that the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, there were close to 100,000 fans, and I think 90+% were Steeler fans. So there were more terrible towels in Mexico than at the Steeler Stadium.
Yeah.
How was that energy?
Man, it was. I think that's one of the things that kind of, as a football player, I love to see that type of atmosphere. I always gravitated towards the fans. Like after a game, if I was going to take off my sweatbands or my gloves or my cap and give it away, I was probably going to give it to a kid who was dressed up, had his face painted, and, maybe that I seen screaming for the whole game, because that's the part of the game that gets us as players where we need to be. A lot of times fans might not realize in a football game how important they are to a team, especially to a defense. If there's a game, especially a close game, and my crowd can't draw a team, like get me a false start or get Bruce Smith that extra little step because they can't hear the count. If my crowd can't do that, then that makes my crowd, in a sense, losers, because you're not really helping us win when you had a chance to help us, like when we really need you. So that's the type of fan that I gravitated towards. I gravitate towards the beer drinkers, not the super drunk guy, but the guy who's, the guy who's had a few beers and just yelling the whole game, because that's the type of energy that we need, because most teams are even. That's why they had a movie called Any Given Sunday. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. But that's why there's that home field advantage. And that home field can give you that advantage. And that's what happened when we played in that game. I don't remember the score, but I just remember it was loud and it was terrible towels everywhere. And that was my first real experience as a Steeler. So I mean, I loved it.
Hamstring injuries require rest.
Yeah.
So, did they give you time to recover, or basically not much?
I mean, they did what they could. I think once again it was just a recipe for disaster. It was I don't know. It was the Lord's way of saying, look, get ready to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to Latrobe?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of down in there.
Hills, yeah.
And whatever's not down in there is kind of far away.
Right.
And I had a scooter to get me around camp, and I wasn't able to use it. and I was in the middle of healing up, and I was walking down one of those hills one day and slipped.
Shoot.
And so it set me back even a little bit more. But as a player, I mean, you can't really tell them that you had a setback because, and those dudes, they knew me. They knew me because at the time, Cleveland wasn't really doing that. Well, both of them was like 3 hours away from Buffalo.
Cleveland never do something good.
But Buffalo and Pittsburgh at the time were the good AFC teams, like from that area.
Yeah.
So I knew some of those dudes, and so I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out there, and I wanted to get on the field. I didn't want to be the hurt dude, because the new dude and the hurt dude it's not a good look.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I was, I could talk some good smack back in the day. I mean, I could get creative and get with anybody, when it came to rambling and ranting. So, I talk my talk, but also my main dude up there who I rode with all the time was Jerome Bettis.
The bus.
So I gotta represent now. I can't be riding with the bus and not be putting some fuel in the tank.
Right.
So it was hard for me to heal.
And you were cut by the end of training camp, or what?
Yeah, I made it to the last cut. They tried to keep me, man. Doug Whaley was up there at the time. Doug Whaley really looked out for me. He tried to take care of me, wanted to keep me around, but it was just, the combination of the injuries and not knowing the defense as well as some of the other guys. It was time for me to go. But he's the one who let me know. He was like, "Hey man, look, keep your phone on you, because I think Minnesota want to pick you up."
Okay.
And then I got picked up by the Vikings, after one game.
And how was your experience with the Vikings?
Oh, it started off pretty good. And it ended up with me being cut. And I'll keep this part short. It ended up with me being cut not too long after Corey Stringer died in training camp.
But a heat...
with a heat stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had some fun, met some good people. Got to play for Denny Green.
Was Danny Culpepper the quarterback?
Dante Culpepper was the quarterback. Randy Moss was,
Randy Moss.
Oh, man, he was just...
What a freak athlete.
He's more awesome in practice than he is in the game, and just, just a better dude than what people even see on TV.
The next topic was something in the occult or hidden under the rug for so many decades from the NFL. Concussions.
Yeah.
Until Dr. Maroon from Pittsburgh discovered, after some autopsies, is that right? The right word? That the brains after so many hits, create some deterioration in their brains.
Yeah.
And the Steelers linemen were real tough, like Mike Webster and another good players, that he found a pattern that become a movie with Will Smith that opened the eyes of the world about the sacrifice that you guys make about hitting a wall every time, because players are become bigger and faster, and this is a gladiator or wrestler match between football players.
Yes.
What's your experience, and what you want to tell us about concussions after football?
Once I got out of playing football, a few years after that, I noticed that there was just some things not right with myself, and I couldn't figure out what it was.
What was the feeling? What was the happening?
Just a feeling of being lost, and not being able to count, not being able to remember songs,
Really?
not being able to remember people's names.
How long after you retired?
I can't remember exactly what year, but I started noticing some differences when I was coaching as well.
Maybe 2 years, 5 years?
Yeah, probably like my third year. I'm thinking maybe my second year.
You retired by 1999?
2001 was
2001.
was my last training
Okay.
camp.
All right.
But I would watch film and things would get like blurry, or I get headaches and just all kind of just lost. And I didn't know, I didn't pay attention to my mail, because the NFL would reach out and send you mail about certain benefits and things that you could sign up for if you needed help. But I was just mad, and I knew it wasn't a check in the mail, so I didn't even really look at the mail. But they reached out to try to help, but I just kept on getting worse and worse, and basically like dumber and dumber, and at least I felt dumber and dumber, and I just losing things and forgetting things, and just all kinds of behaviors that I wasn't really even used to.
And it was progressive?
Yeah, it was progressive. And then at a certain point, I even used it at, like, I tried to like, in a sense, like marry my way into some sense, because I knew I didn't need to, well, at least I didn't think I needed at the time to go to a hospital, but I knew I needed some help.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I needed basically some administrative assistance.
And didn't know about that program that the NFL have,
Yeah.
because you don't even check your mail.
I was just bitter.
Okay,
And
angry.
I was angry, and I knew it wasn't money.
Right.
I knew it wasn't a check itself. But guess what, though? It in a way it was, though.
Yeah, because they were paying these programs, right?
They paid for the programs, and if you signed up at the right time, there was just benefits available.
Okay.
And I didn't pay attention.
Did you miss those benefits, or they were?
Oh yeah, I missed them. And
There was a certain time to.
yeah, certain time.
Okay.
And then, but fortunately though, and I'm still thankful to the NFL that they did have a certain set of guidelines in place for guys like me who missed a certain deadline, who applied for benefits. And I recently just went through my concussion interviews with some doctors, and I might get something from that to help me out with some bills and certain things with the future. But they have done some things that help, and I just want to. I'm proud that they have helped me as much. I'm hoping that. I mean, of course, I hope that they help me some more.
Are you feeling better now?
Man, I can honestly say that I do feel better because of my benefits. They've given me a chance to basically not have to figuratively bust my head against the wall like I was as a player. I played in the era where you did bust the wedge and you did, crash into people. Now they're trying to make the game safer. A lot of times people like to say that the game is softer, but I think the game is smarter. I think some more of the rugby rules and the rugby tackling styles, I think that leads to better sportsmanship as well. When guys take care, not necessarily brother-in-law, but kind of take care of each other when it comes to like crashing in each other, because a lot of times there's enough time, and that's what the NFL is trying to create. There enough time where you can make a decision. Hey, look, I'm gonna hurt this dude, or I'm gonna make this play and still be safe. Like, you can grab a guy a certain way, or you can hurt him. You can hit a guy a certain way, or you can hurt him.
Like, they're changing now to the hip
Yeah.
tackle.
Now, I'm kind of against some of those rules because like look, you need to tell these running backs, hey, why don't you go down a little bit easier?
Yeah.
Like, don't make me have to tackle you like that.
Exactly.
So, because when I played ball, one of my favorite moves, well, because I was fast, I could run some dudes down from behind and just grab them and horse collar them. That was kind of my move.
That was illegal.
But it's dangerous though.
Plus.
But if you don't want to be dangerous, you should just don't run for a touchdown. Go down.
Or like...
if you don't want to get hurt, just lay down.
Or like Jack Lambert said, let's put skirts to quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you played in the NFL, there was no concussion programs or protocols.
No.
And what was the life? You don't mention to your coaches?
No.
So you play macho?
Like stingers, dizzy, I'm tired, whatever it is. Like you don't complain. You tape it up, strap it up, lace it up, and get back in there.
Did you realize now that you have concussions playing?
Oh yeah. I mean, just the way that I played the game, like my goal was to smash into somebody's teeth with my skull.
Well, did you hear the ring like a bell, or
Sometime
knocked you out?
Sometime. I never got knocked out.
No lights out.
I never got knocked out where I had to lay down on the field, but I had some things like I had to wear the whiplash neck brace after the game. Got knocked, I don't know. I don't remember what happened, man, but we was about to kick off, and I don't remember what happened before, but right before kickoff, like we're lined up in kickoff formation, and I just start throwing up.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And like you could hear the crowd, like with each hurl, the crowd was going, ooh.
Well, you were vomiting, of course.
Ooh. Oh,
Too
man.
much cerveza.
No cerveza.
What happened?
I think I got concussion syndrome, and I was just out there, and
Do you have sensitivity to light and noise at that time?
it was just it's hard to remember exactly what happened.
Right.
And then there was one other time. It's like I was heading into the pile, and then and my head was down, and I got knocked out of the pile.
Uh-oh.
Like knocked back, like the pile like fell into me, like fell into my head, and I was just I didn't realize until the next day we were watching film. Ted Cottrell was the coach at the time, and he was pointing at me. He was like, "Gabe, what are you doing right here?" And I honestly could tell him I don't know, because it's like I made a whole different defensive position that we never discussed in film. And I was lined up like on the center, like I was blitzing, but I'm outside linebacker.
Right.
And
So maybe that was confusion because of
because I got
hit to the head?
something happened when I got knocked out of that pile.
Wow, that's serious.
Yeah.
Man, what was in 1 minute? What was your worst scare or injury during your football career as a professional?
Well, the worst thing that happened was the hamstring and the time when I had to wear the neck brace.
Okay, for how long?
I probably had to wear it for a few days.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah.
Not broken things.
No, I got lucky. I got lucky when I didn't have any busted knees or ACLs or I didn't have to have any surgeries until after I was done. I had, you see these smiley face on both my elbows.
I think I can beat you.
So I don't. So when you playing on that front line, yeah.
Mexican power.
Yeah.
Tacos.
Barbacoa.
Yes, sir.
Body by barbacoa.
See.
So you on that front line and you're going against these 300-pound big guys.
Right.
And now here comes a linebacker from the second level or a safety from the third level, and they hitting anything that moves with the other color on. But sometimes it's they hit you too. Did you hear that? Did you hear my?
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah. So if so they hit you and not so something's gonna happen to your shoulder, something's gonna happen to your elbow, something's gonna happen to your wrist.
Right.
And so I had to have carpal tunnel and some kind of other surgery on both of my hands. I had to have both my ulnar nerves removed because they had popped out.
Okay.
And it was exposed. So like if anything touched against that nerve,
Ooh.
you get a pain that goes all the way down through these three fingers, like a funny bone, but worse.
The funny one is when you hit here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So imagine. So you got to hit in there to get to the funny bone. Well, my nerve was out and like over that little joint right there, and just sticking out. So anytime something touched it, it was like crazy.
Wow. We'll be back. Okay, that was a nasty injury. Now, tell us about the idea how you became for this football, that Mexico is going to be the first Latin American country that have your footballs available, and Monterrey is going to be the first city to have them.
Y'all better hurry up because I think Panama City might be next.
We'll let talk out. We can talk outside.
All right.
We can talk.
Okay, let's talk. So I made this ball. The idea came to me exactly one day less than 2 years ago. To take a football game that has been played for a while, but nobody's really put any juice behind it. When I was coming out of high school, I went to football camp at LSU, and we played Tiger Ball. Mm-hmm. And Tiger Ball is like football and soccer and lacrosse.
Combined.
All combined.
Okay.
So now this is LSU football camp, so you got offensive linemen, defensive linemen, you got every position playing this game. Like it's and like I say, it's like soccer and lacrosse. But everybody has a chance to be the quarterback. Everybody has a chance to be the receiver. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a chance to play defensive back. Everybody has a chance to rush the quarterback. Because the game is always just moving.
So this is a game you adapt and you create, right?
So 2 years ago, I go to College Station to Texas A&M for my birthday.
Mm-hmm. And you're here for your 50th birthday.
Exactly.
Tomorrow,
exactly. So, and that just makes it even more special. Because this is kind of themed around my birthday. But I went to this Texas A&M camp on my birthday. My guy, who's the equipment manager there, says, "Why don't you come into the stadium? We're about to play Aggie ball." And I'm like, man, they still playing the same game that we played 30 years ago when I was in school. And nobody's like marketed it yet.
What's
it's
Aggie ball? So
Aggie ball is the same as Tiger Ball.
All right.
And if you go play it over there, it might be Azteca Ball, or it might, if you go to Detroit, it'll be Lion Ball, whatever.
I got you.
So, because you can't play football at football camps in college, you have to have some type of variation.
Because of injuries?
Because of some
liabilities?
Some kind of crazy NCAA rules on recruiting. I don't know. You can't recruit while you're recruiting. Okay. I don't know. But anyway, so I said, man, I'm gonna take this game, and I'm gonna do with this game the same thing that the inventor of CrossFit did with workout circuits, because people been doing CrossFit for a long time, but for decades it was just called workout circuits, where you went to this station, this station, this station, this station, and you did it in a circle. You did a circular, you did a pattern, and then you did some. So and then next thing you know, there's CrossFit games everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what made me come up with the Cross Ball Plus, because it was a mix between, to me, it was a mix between football, lacrosse, rugby, and soccer. If that be the case, though, you want everybody to be able to throw the ball. You want everybody to be able to catch the ball. And that's what made me design a new ball to go with the new game, because I really don't know what made me get the motivation to go with the plus sign on the end. But when I made my first one and I made it spin, like after I took the tape off of it and saw it, I was like, I knew that I had something special in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened then was the invention of the ball and the patent process of the ball took precedence over creating the game. So that's why I'm still working on getting more of these balls out, so then I can eventually get the game out as well. But it's a fun game. Everybody has a chance to make a play. That's the big thing. Everybody has a chance to throw a touchdown. Everybody has a chance to make an interception. It don't matter you big or small. It don't matter you're a boy or a girl. None of that matters. All you got to do is want to play ball. And if you decide to play ball with this kind of ball, it's going to help you develop your skills better, a little bit faster than a ball with just a half circle or no white on the tip at all, like an NFL ball. This ball, as a quarterback, as a passer, once you let it go, you're going to see it spin a little bit different.
Like a torpedo, right?
It's going to be like a torpedo, like a missile,
Mm-hmm.
or when it's coming towards you as a receiver, as you get ready to make your reception or your interception, you focus on that tip, and you either put your thumbs together or your pinkies together and just focus on that tip all the way, and it gives you just a little bit extra.
So this for kids that want to learn to play football.
Mm-hmm.
This is the perfect football to teach that techniques that you just mentioned, to correct when you throw a pass and to receive.
I mean, of course I'm biased, but I think this is the perfect football. I think this football will be a star on an international level. I'm hoping that eventually it will get some exposure to some international Olympic committees, because it does have a more international look. And if it's not in the Olympics for the men's side, I think it could be in the Olympics for the women's side, the same way as the men's basketball is a solid color, but the WNBA ball is has the brown and white or the orange and white labels or panels. I mean, I'm proud of this thing. We're in the process of finding some new distribution avenues. And I can see this thing traveling well throughout South and Central America, and even just overseas and just everywhere, because with the Olympics on both men and women's side in 2028 having the first Olympic Games, it's going to be a race to hoist those, to be able to put on those first Olympic medals to say that you're the official world champion for football. I can
tell you that the female flag team in Mexico are the world champions right now.
They're the world champions right now.
Yeah.
Now, so think about this. That's a lot of pride right there.
Oh yeah.
A lot of pride.
Las muchachas.
Las muchachas de México.
Sí, señor.
Sí.
Muy buenas.
Muy buenas.
Jugadoras.
Todo del mundo.
De todo el mundo.
All right. So imagine that same enthusiasm, because I don't know, I've never really sat around the TV with my family and watched world championships, whether it be track, whether it be whatever sports, the Olympic type of sports.
I understand.
I've watched the World Championship for, you know, the NBA, baseball, MLB, you know, of course, for the NFL. But families sit together and watch TV for a couple of reasons. World Cup and Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not even Winter Olympics, but just World Cup and Summer Olympics, right?
The thing with Olympics are their kids competing, you know?
So I just, you know, this being able to travel, and I've had some coaches offer me jobs. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I got hooked up with you. A coach offered me a job, and I had to turn him down because of certain things with my NFL benefits, but also with just certain restrictions and limitations that I do have physically, and still some mentally, but mostly because of my back. I had back surgery not too long ago. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole nother story right there, because that's what led me to my revelation, was some complications due to back surgery. All right, you got to help me get back on track.
Well, it looks like a perfect football. Time will say. It was a pleasure to have you here, and follow updates about where can you get these footballs by the third quarter of this year, correct?
I think so. I think by the time Black Friday comes and it's time to buy Christmas gifts,
yes,
these balls will be ready. We'll have them in production. We'll have thousands of them ready to be sold and ready to be helping kids get better.
Gabriel, muchas gracias for being in this podcast, amigo.
Gracias, amigo.
And we wish you the best with, what's the name of this football?
This is the Crossball Plus.
Crossball Plus.
I have websites and stuff coming. I have a nonprofit organization, Cross World Football Foundation, which is what brings me here, because my love for the game and my love for the Lord has been able to come together in this product. You know, I had dreams of going to places and teaching people how to play this game when I was finishing up with my career, and now I get to do that. So I mean, I feel like I'm just the most blessed football player on the planet. I might not be the biggest, the baddest, the richest, but man, I know that I'm blessed. And if there's anybody out there that feels better than me, man, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Él es Gabriel Northern, yo soy Fernando Von Rossum, y estas son las historias con mis amigos.